In this episode, we're going to be picking open and discussing this challenge lock titled The Dream by Washington State Picker. Hey folks, welcome to Pugs Picks Locks. If you're new here, go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I release new content like this. And if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click that like button, and then if you have one, leave a question or a comment down below. I am more than happy to engage with you in the comment section, either to answer any questions you may have or to receive any feedback you may have. I don't always get everything right. So did I get something wrong? Is there something I could do differently? Something I could do better? Please let me know. I am always looking to learn from all of you so that I can continue to grow my skill set, grow my knowledge base, and provide you with better and better content. Okay, so let's dive into this week's video and start with the shout out of the week. This week, the shout out is going to Jeff and Things, and there will be a link to the channel in the description box below, along with a listing of all the tools that are used in this video. Jeff and Things is kind of an eclectic channel. Jeff has videos of music, bushcraft, fabrication skills, and of course, lock sport. From a lock sport point of view, he does some wonderful picking on his channel, but more importantly, he also he has a great educational piece where he talks about tools, tension tools, and picks and other things that some of which he fabricated himself, but he always talks about them from the perspective of his personal experience. He's not just regurgitating knowledge that he got on the internet or that he read in the Easy Pickings booklet that we all have a gajillion 0.25 copies of because it comes with everything we ever ordered from Southord and Sparrows and every online store, lockpicking shop. He always speaks from personal experience, and being able to hear the experience of someone who has fabricated their own tools, who has made their own picks, their own tension wrenches, and what he's learned in the process of making and using them. That's valuable insight. And I truly believe that Jeff deserves more than the 188 subscribers that he currently has. So why don't we all jump over and help the brother out, give him a sub, help him get that number up. All right. The lock that we are featuring this week is a challenge lock. And being a relative newbie to the lock sport community, I wasn't all that familiar with what a challenge lock is. So some mentors in the lock sport community are the ones who turned me on to them. They started asking me questions about, hey, have you tried any challenge locks? If so, which ones? What did you think about them? Etc., etc. And when I professed my ignorance, they helped educate me. So what a challenge lock is, it's a lock that a lock sporter will take and then modify to make it into a more challenging puzzle, hence the name challenge lock. And they will make it a more challenging puzzle by swapping out pins and cutting a key with much more challenging bitting. Or they'll modify the pins that are in there. They might take a spool pin and then cut the center of the spool much deeper, so it's the barrel is much narrower. Or they'll cut deeper serrations, or they'll create custom shapes with it, or they'll build their own pins. There are some pins that are pin in pin. So there's a pin that's an outer tube, and then a smaller pin that moves up and down inside of it. They'll have other moving parts in their pins or whatever. Or instead of just focusing on the pins, they might do something like add countermilling to the chamber in the plug, or countermilling in the chamber in the Bible, or both. Or they might swap out springs for lighter springs or stronger springs, or have a mix of different spring strengths. Anything they can do to make it a more challenging picking experience. So that's what this is. This is a lock that is named the Dream. And the Dream was made by Washington State Picker. And Washington State Picker, and we'll go ahead and demonstrate that this is a more challenging lock. I mean, that this is a functional lock. Washington State Picker went ahead and they modified this lock to make it a more of a puzzle. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick it open, and then we're going to discuss its innards. We're going to discuss its guts. I will not be gutting it on camera, though. I did gut it off camera, and so I'll be able to throw up a picture of the insides. But I'm not going to gut it on camera because I do not want to mess this lock up. I'm afraid that... desperately afraid that splitting my focus between trying to gut it, trying to narrate it, and trying to maintain good camera angles, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to slip up. I'm going to mash a pin, lose a pin. I'm going to mash a spring. Anyhow, I don't want to mess up this lock. This lock represents Washington Picker's time, effort, and artistry and creativity. Some effort went into this, and I'd like to be able to pass it on so others can enjoy it. All right. To pick this lock, we're going to be going with top of the keyway tension using this pry bar, and I believe this is in 40 thousandths. Like I said earlier, a full listing of all the equipment used will be in the description. So I'll double check that it is indeed 40 thousandths and make sure the information in the description is correct. For a pick, we'll be using this Southord Pagoda hook, which I've used multiple times, almost every time on this channel. It is my favorite pick. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this set so that we can go ahead and try to pick this open. All right. You see this little bit of warding down here at the bottom of the keyway? I'm going to be resting my pick on top of that piece of warding, and then I will be using that to lever the pick up and down. And the reason why I like to lever my pick off of either a bit of warding, or if I'm going bottom of the keyway off of the tension tool, I like levering the pick like that because I find it gives me a great amount of fine control over how much pressure I'm exerting on a pin and how high I lift a pin. I get a much greater degree of fine control over the pick when I lever it off of something. So like I said, we're going top of the keyway. We're going to be varying the tension greatly throughout the picking process. We'll be varying probably from somewhere around here, medium, where I have to work a little bit to slide the pick in between my finger and the tension wrench, and very light, like incredibly super light, where I'm barely touching the tension wrench at all. Okay, so, and if you're not, by the way, if you're not at a place in your picking journey where you are starting to greatly vary the tension based on the feedback that you are feeling from the pins, I highly, highly recommend developing that skill set, being able to vary the tension in response to what you are feeling inside the lock. Being able to vary that tension is going to help you not just with challenge locks, but it's going to help you with any lock that you encounter. Stock, challenge, whatever. It is a critical skill for some of the more difficult locks. So I'm going to start at the back of the lock with pin 5. So I insert the pick all the way to the back. I pull out until I'm resting on 5. And 5 is springy. So I'm going to move to pin 4. And I'm using light bordering on medium tension right now. So on pin 4, I get a click, teeniest bit of core movement. 3 and 2, both 3 felt springy, 2 feels like it's set, it's not moving at all. And 1 gave me a bit of a click and a teeny bit of core movement. So now I'm going to move back to the back of the lock again. And pin 5 is binding. We get a click and a little bit of a false set. 4. Oh, I slipped right off of 4. So there's 5. 5 feels good. 4. Okay. 4 gave a click, and now we are in a very deep false set. 3. That feels set. There's nothing happening there. 2. Same thing. And this is super light tension, folks. I'm just barely touching a thing. And now 1. And we have counter rotation on 1. And that was a click. And we're back in the false set. So I'm going to go back to the back of the lock again. 5 was another click. Still in that false set. 4 is counter rotating. And I'm just nudging it a little bit at a time with the super lightest tension I possibly can. And that was a click, and we have her open. And there's a celebratory wiggle. Okay, the reason why I was nudging pin 4 so gently is that with the way that some of the pins on challenge locks are modified, they're like very, very aggressive spools. And so I'm really afraid of oversetting things or undersetting things. And so just little tiny nudges, and then letting those nudges give me a little bit of feedback and tell me what's going on with the tension wrench. I find that really, rather than trying to, that steady pressure and then click or whatever, just little tiny nudges to move it where it needs to be. It's the same technique that I use with some serrated pins, especially if it's a serrated pin that's matched up with a counter milled chamber. By just nudging it just the teeniest bit and hearing and feeling every click of the serration against the counter milling, etc. Just click, 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 click. By nudging it gently like that, I find that I often am more successful that way than I am with trying steady pressure, and trying to get exactly to the shear line in one go, if that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about what we have inside of this lock. And so up on screen right now is a picture of the pins. And I don't know enough to know if these are stock pins that Washington State Picker modified, or if these are pins that he cut himself. But you can see, these are beautiful. There's some artistry there. And you can see, and if you look at some of those key pins, especially 5 and 4, you can see why I'm so afraid of oversetting those. Because you overset those, you're not coming back from that overset. Especially if there's any countermilling, which I don't believe there was actually. But you can see that these pins, whether they're homemade or whether they're modified at home, you can see how deep some of those cuts are and how narrow the barrel of some of those pins are. and narrow to the point that they're more of a center post than they are of a barrel of the pin. And you can see how some of them would need to be touched and set more than once. They're really beautiful, though. I mean, there's a lot, like I said, there's some artistry there. There's some creativity and some artistry. I mean, they look like little chalices or sculptures or something like that. Anyhow, I hope that you enjoyed this first foray into challenge locks. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, remember to drop a like and leave a comment or a question below. If you're new here, subscribe and ring the notification bell for more content like this. Until the next video, happy picking y'all.